End of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Hey, I want to do a Konica Minolta update. Keep in mind, Konica Minolta will be publishing their first quarter numbers on August 1st. I'm looking forward to that publication. I'll go through those numbers with a fine-tooth comb, as they say. But I found this article dated July 6, 2023. Let me read the headline. Notice of additional acquisition of shares of consolidated subsidiary. Konica Minolta will pay $200 million as part of a put, and they're going to buy out the equity position of INCJ. And INCJ and Konica Minolta, they got together in that healthcare division, and they bought that company, Ambry Genetics. And folks, that healthcare division has been nothing but a train wreck mess for Konica Minolta since the day they did that deal. And I can say that, and I'm basing that on the financial position of the healthcare division within Konica Minolta. It's a train wreck mess, any way you look at it. And so I'm thinking to myself, Konica Minolta, $200 million investment in this already dysfunctional business unit seems a little bit crazy. This put came to the attention of the analyst in the financial community when Konica Minolta had its earnings call. I'm not talking about the industry's analysts, the folks in the document imaging channel. I know that Sam here in the United States had a webinar for his friends that are analysts in media. And, of course, they didn't discuss anything about the put. They basically all took notes and then published whatever Konica told them to say. But, ladies and gentlemen, I brought up this put in my recap of the webinar that Sam actually had with the other media analysts. And I, too, am concerned about this $200 million. And, ladies and gentlemen, you can go and read about this for yourself. It's all right there. I'm not going to read all of this, But Konica Minolta, they're trying to do something in this healthcare business, and they've been trying to do it since 2017, and it's now 2023 and halfway through 2023, and from a profitability standpoint, that whole entire healthcare division over at Konica Minolta is completely cleaning their clock, and Konica Minolta believing that maybe they're going to take this thing and form a separate entity or get other investors involved in it. I don't know who the hell would invest in it because it hasn't been able to make any money for a long, long time. And the losses that it's incurred over the last few years are horrific in their own right. But ladies and gentlemen, let's just look at the math on this. So if you pull up the financials, again, this is all off of Konica Minolta's website. In other words, none of this stuff is made up by me here. But folks, if you look at the FY 2022, Konica Minolta's healthcare division lost $800 million, and that was this last year, that horrific FY 2022, the worst year in Konica Minolta's history, right? The healthcare business, $800 million loss. In FY 2021, the healthcare division was $144 million in losses. If you look over here, this is referencing the entire healthcare division. And it talks about the revenue from the healthcare, precision medicine, the operating profit. And folks, the operating profit is this dark gold color. Do you see the operating profit being above the line at all since the first quarter of 2019? It is an absolute disaster. And now, $200 million worth of money going into this business that's lost $944 million just in the last 2 years, let alone all the losses the years before. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been a little bit critical of Konica Minolta over the last few years, but at the end of the day, they just can't make money. And it seems to me that they make these investments in things, and they have a whole lot of aspirations for these things to be successful, but they just don't turn out successful. Maybe it's a problem with execution. But, when I was going through their year-end numbers, I pulled up this slide, and this was part of their presentation for the year-end. And I got to be honest with you, I think I even poked fun of this when I did their year-end episode. Aiming to improve business contribution ratio by 1 point by reducing cost. I'm like, you need a bigger goal than that, Konica Minolta. You've got a clean house. You've had your worst year in your company's history. And the 2 years before that were not very good. 3 straight years of losses. Your creditors are concerned. So here's what I'm thinking, and I'm going to say this with all honesty. I believe Konica must eliminate all assets that are costing them more than they can make from them. You know, and I think about, you know, maybe the direct operations here in the U.S., the direct operations abroad. Should they just get rid of those and just be a manufacturer of print equipment? I think about this all-covered business that I've been, you know, screaming about for a long time, because I don't believe they're making any money in the all-covered business, and they can go on other venues and they can write articles and say they're knocking it out of the park, but they've never proved they're knocking it out of the park. And when you look at some of the assets that they bought that they put up underneath all covered, like that crazy ERP system Forza, and the reason I bring that up again, and I bring it up a lot, is because we all understand about that ERP system. It was a disaster the day that Konica Minolta picked that thing up, right? We all would agree with that. How many people are even on that thing? And then if you start thinking about all these other assets that they bought and they rolled up underneath all covered over the last 12 years, one would conclude that they're not performing. Konica Minolta, I know it's tough, but you're going to have to make some really, really tough decisions. 2023, you cannot lose money. You can't. And you can't waste money investing in things that aren't going to pan out. You've got some serious, serious things you're going to have to fix. And as you fix those things, it's going to be painful, the status quo, I assure you. And hopefully the leadership can get these things fixed. And I don't think it'll be the leadership in the marketplaces around the world. It has to be the leadership at board level. It has to be back in Japan, the leadership and the board are going to have to make some tough decisions. And I hope they can make them, because if they can't, I'm afraid we're going to witness Konica Minolta fall right off that proverbial cliff. Just some things to think about. Like I said, their financials for the first quarter will be out August 1st, and I will go through them with a fine-tooth comb. And everybody watching me knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.